Welcome. This is Reverend Jayne Coley, and today I want to talk about what you can do if you have less than enough great health, less than enough money, or feel less than enough within. And as usual, I want to start with 3 quotes. The first one, there is no love without forgiveness, and there's no forgiveness without love. Bryant McGill. The day the child realizes that all adults are imperfect, he becomes an adolescent. The day he forgives them, he becomes an adult. The day he forgives himself, he becomes wise. Aidan Nolan. Too often our minds are so burdened because of the mistakes we have made that we do not take the time to forgive ourselves and others and start over again. Ernest Holmes. Today I want to share the 4 stages of forgiveness, but I want to first start with this story. There was an incident probably when I was right around 12 years old, and I was doing some work for my dad. And I can remember him turning to me and saying to me, "You are useless." Well, that one comment of "you are useless," that etched into my unconscious beliefs for so many years. I didn't realize that that was running in the background. And that played out as, I am not enough. And for me, that went into when I was a teenager and I was in high school, I didn't feel confident enough. I always felt this less than enough. Then when it went on to having boyfriends, the same thing. There was always this piece where it showed up that I always felt less than enough. And there was this common thread with all of my boyfriends, even my husband, where there'd always either be another woman, or they'd be looking at another woman, or looking at pornography. And I didn't realize that it was around this comment of this old wound of I was feeling less than enough. And I would think, why could they not just be happy with just me? Wasn't I enough? And this less than enough, it showed up in my finances where I wouldn't quite have enough. Or even recently, I have this property that I'm completing for a spiritual center and I need another $50,000 to complete it. And here I am again saying, less than enough. And so it turned within me. I looked deeper this spring and I heard within myself that I really needed this guidance to once and for all let this go, which fortunately, that same night, I got an email from Derek Rydell talking about these 4 stages of forgiveness. And I want to share these with you today. Now, the first level of forgiveness, this is where we see the other person is bad. We're great, but the other person's bad, but we're great because we are going to forgive them. So this is what I would do. I would forgive, but I still had this edge, this anxiety that I harbored, this bitterness inside toward men. And I did this my entire 20s. And that same tape of I was less than enough, or they were less than enough, that I'd pick a boyfriend that I was like, I don't know about this one. And that same thing, less than enough. I project it. And then this spilled over into my finances again. So that was in my 20s. I did that first stage. The second stage of forgiveness. This is a stage where we say to ourselves, and I did this one in my 30s and 40s, where I'd say, well, I'm more spiritual. I'm going to forgive you. I'm going to think happy, great thoughts. And, I'm okay. I bless you to go on your way. And good luck figuring out your own baggage. And I'd be like, bye. Good luck with your own stuff. I got mine figured out. Well, this is a very powerful stage of forgiveness, but it is only the second stage. The third stage, I was faced with this stage of going into forgiveness when I was blessed with this part of me where I went into practitioner training. Well, they say all your stuff comes up, science mind practitioner training, and it did. And this same issue of feeling less than enough came up again. And I realized that I wanted more love. I wanted a deeper, more intimate relationship. And I wanted more finances, more money, more flow. And so I looked at this belief again of less than enough. You follow what I'm saying? That then I had this awakening, this epiphany that, oh my gosh, I was holding myself back. I was the one that was blocking my prosperity. I was the one that was blocking my deepening into unconditional love through this not forgiving at this deeper level. So this third stage is where you realize that there is this greater plan and that we're blocking ourselves. So I did the Radical Forgiveness by Colin Tippings. And when you go in his website, there's a spot for tools, and he has these free tools on these sheets. I highly recommend. I invite you to do them. So I did these back then and realized that I opened up these parts of myself where I was blocked around forgiveness. And I learned how to love myself more, and my health got much better, and my finances skyrocketed right when I was finishing up my practitioner training. So at the third stage, we realized that, there was a wrongdoing, whether it was to ourselves where we did something wrong, or to the other, and we say, well, they did me wrong. Maybe they stole from you, but it was clever the way they did it. Or maybe they went after someone else, but at least they went for something they wanted. But there's this deepening to realizing your own responsibility in it. And what I realized is, if I'm really honest, was around that, back to the men that I had dated, was that I realized not to address certain things in my marriage where I was being controlling, and I did like this feeling of this victim. And so I had to let go and forgive at this third level of forgiveness. And I knew forgiveness was the answer to my next up-leveling in my marriage, with my kids, and in my finances. And for me, it all came up again when I decided to go on to my fourth level of forgiveness. And this is when I decided to go into ministerial school. Well, this was a whole other deepening level. Well, when it came time for my exams for this is when my husband got let go from his work, and here I was. I had to figure out, oh wow, less than enough. Now I really got to step into who I am, and I'm the one that is going to be holding this deepening into our finances and into the relationship, and really awakening. At the fourth stage, we awaken to this spiritual aspect that there is one life, one source, and it's God. It's not my husband's paycheck. It's not a person or place. It's the divine within me. And when I centered in that and got very clear that there was one source, things started to open up for me. And this one life, that it unfolds and it bumps into these pockets of lack, limitation, separation within us, like when my husband lost his job and manifests as crisis or as a challenge in our health. Or somebody betrays us. This is an opportunity, these dramas of the human experience, to deepen into this fourth level of forgiveness. And for me, I realized that I had been living in the shadow of this old belief, this feeling of less than enough. And for me, this spring at age 55, when I had this house project going on and I am ready to open up to even more, that I began to draw new friends. I did the radical forgiveness again, and I took this leap in forgiveness. I let go and I let God. And I realized that at this fourth level, that the other individual was really an aspect of my life, my own soul. And there's only one source, and we are all connected. And then these wise words came to me in my meditation. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. They are totally asleep, unconscious. And forgive yourself. I too, and you too. We at times are unconscious in our actions and our behaviors. So I invite you to do what I'm choosing. I'm choosing to play full out, to have an even greater compassion, to forgive all trespasses, to open up at this fourth level of forgiveness, to regain, and it's showing up as my natural vitality, and it's showing up as my finances, that they're improving. And my perception around men, this has changed dramatically, and I'm realizing they're an aspect of me. I'm choosing to take full responsibility for my part in this path of radical forgiveness. I invite you to do the same. Jesus said, forgive your enemies 77 times. 70 times 7, sorry. I believe this really means keep forgiving until you realize the enemy is in our mind. It's within us, into what we hold on to. Forgive, let it go. In closing, what can you do if you feel less than enough? I invite you to this fourth stage of forgiveness. I invite you to unconditionally love yourself, love others. Please affirm with me with these 3 statements to bring this in, calling it in. Hands on your heart, please. I am enough just the way I am. I am enough just the way I am. I forgive all trespasses. I forgive all trespasses. I let go and let God. I let go and let God. Thank you. I love you.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.